It all started with a number, 113,000. This was the figure that fans and industry insiders saw on digital displays when Clipse's long-awaited reunion album dropped. It represented a strong first-week total for a duo that hadn't worked together in over a decade. However, before the congratulations could sink in, DJ Akademiks threw a wrench in the narrative. In a late-night livestream, he not only raised eyebrows but also sparked controversy by asserting that the actual sales were closer to 57,000, implying that the numbers had been artificially inflated through the use of bots, bundles, and manipulation. Just like that, the celebration turned into skepticism. Welcome to Celebrity Cookies, where the tea is always hot and the stories come with sprinkles of surprise. Make sure to subscribe, leave a comment with your take on the story. Akademiks' claims about Clipse aren't entirely unprecedented in the music world. We've seen first-week sales boosted through merchandise bundles, concert ticket add-ons, and even serial promotions at times. Yet, this situation felt different. Perhaps it was the timing, or maybe it was because Clipse, made up of Pusha T and No Malice, had always positioned themselves as purists, artists who rise above gimmicks. But when Akademiks presented his case, it didn't come across as spiteful. It felt like a thorough analysis of how an album that should have had modest sales suddenly saw its impact double overnight. According to Akademiks, the duo's team employed a strategy involving third-party bot activity, artificial traffic mimicking fan interest to inflate streams, and strategically timed merchandise bundles. He claimed that midweek, when the album was projected to sell around 57,000 units, the label intensified its efforts. New bundles were suddenly introduced, including vinyl records, signed posters, and exclusive Clipse family merchandise, all contributing to album sales. Additionally, there was an unusual spike in streaming numbers that didn't align with the album's social media buzz or critical reception. In an era of transparency, where fans can track an artist's chart performance in real time, something fell off. The story gained momentum because Akademiks doesn't just make assertions, he backs them up with evidence. During the live stream, he presented documentation, screenshots of chart projections, timelines for when bundles were introduced, and comparisons to other major hip-hop releases. He pointed out that Clipse's streaming numbers didn't match the level of engagement typically seen with artists achieving 113K in sales. There were no viral moments, chart-topping singles, or Spotify takeovers, and no trending TikToks, just a slow week followed by a sudden spike. The crux of his argument wasn't that Clipse didn't deserve those numbers, but rather that the way they achieved them seemed artificially orchestrated. In a time when authenticity is highly prized, the accusation struck a nerve. Clipse has always been recognized in the rap world for their sharp lyricism, solid reputation, and unwillingness to conform to trends. Therefore, when Akademiks suggested they might have resorted to manipulation, it was considered blasphemous by some. For others, however, it reinforced a growing suspicion that even the so-called genuine artists are not above playing the numbers game. Before exploring the controversy Akademiks ignited, it's essential to understand the current landscape of album sales and why artists and labels are more driven than ever to inflate those numbers. In the modern music industry, first-week sales have evolved beyond mere bragging rights. They now impact playlist placements, touring success, brand partnerships, and even album critiques. Debuting at number 1 can shape the narrative in your favor, while a weak performance can put you on the defensive. For established acts like Clipse, returning to a drastically changed environment since the early 2000s, these figures hold greater importance than ever. When Hell Hath No Fury was released, digital manipulation was not a factor. Albums sold because fans physically purchased them. However, in 2025, everything has changed. Now, the focus is on algorithms, engagement strategies, and data manipulation. While these practices aren't illegal, they do raise ethical concerns. Labels have figured out how to game the system. Selling a hoodie with a download code counts as a sale, multiple limited edition vinyl releases count too, and flooding YouTube with autoplay ads for music videos boosts streaming numbers. Akademiks asserts that Clipse, or more accurately their label, utilized every modern tactic to make their albums seem more significant than it actually was. And if the numbers are accurate, it appears to have worked. But what does this mean for Clipse's legacy? Pusha T has cultivated a brand centered on precision, luxury, and lyricism, enjoying the success of his solo endeavors. No Malice, who distanced himself from the streets and the music industry years ago, returned to this project as a reflection of personal growth. Their comeback was intended to highlight artistry, message, and brotherhood. Yet, within a week, the narrative shifted from Clipse is back to Clipse manipulated the numbers. Despite being a polarizing figure, Akademiks knows how to steer the conversation. He didn't merely question the sales figures, he challenged the culture itself. He pointed out the double standards in how some artists, like Nicki Minaj, Travis Scott, and 6ix9ine, are criticized for manipulation while others are excused if they are seen as authentic. His message was clear: if Clipse engaged in such practices, it should be called out. We shouldn't let nostalgia cloud our judgment. The response was swift and divided. Some fans came to the duo's defense, accusing Akademiks of seeking attention, holding grudges, or misunderstanding contemporary music releases. Others expressed initial skepticism when the figures were first revealed. A few pointed out that everyone is playing the same game, but Clipse has simply managed to play it more successfully. The significance of this moment lies not just in the accusation itself, but in what it revealed. A harsh truth that many fans already suspect, that in 2025, achieving chart success depends less on fan enthusiasm and more on who can navigate the industry effectively at the right time. But does that make it unethical? From a business standpoint, what Clipse's team is accused of is merely marketing, optimizing and maximizing their chances. Record labels face pressure, and artists, especially those making a comeback, have only one opportunity to make an impression. If an artist has a classic catalog and a loyal fan base, why not use every strategy available? This is where the debate begins. It's no longer about whether manipulation took place, but whether it truly matters. Akademiks certainly believes it does. In later posts, he emphasized the importance of maintaining chart integrity for the culture. He argued that fans deserve transparency and that we can't keep pretending that numbers are meaningful if they can be easily manipulated. He questioned how Billboard allows these practices and whether it's time to differentiate between genuine consumption and strategic manipulation. However, there's another perspective to consider. By accusing Clipse of manipulation, one must also reflect on why they felt the need to do so in the first place. Perhaps they recognized the challenging environment. Maybe they noticed the industry's obsession with statistics and thought, if you can't outsmart the system, then play it better than anyone else. It's also possible that the label made the decision without full input from the artists. Ultimately, the public isn't focused on the specifics, they care about how things appear. Right now, the perception is that Clipse, known for their composed, unaffected, elite-level lyricism, might have resorted to the same tactics they once distanced themselves from. Yet, there's a difference between being manipulated and being a manipulator, and that's where fans are split. Is this a case of Clipse compromising their integrity, or are they simply being clever enough to adapt? What does it say about the culture that DJ Akademiks, once seen as a meme page blogger, has become the unofficial protector of chart integrity? The irony is striking. Akademiks established his reputation by covering street disputes, provoking artists, and creating chaos. Yet now, he is presenting himself as a voice of accountability, shedding light on the industry's inner workings. Regardless of whether people admire or despise him, he is drawing attention. At its heart, this situation goes beyond just one album or artist. It centers on trust, whether the music industry can deliver honest metrics, if a legacy can exist without manipulation, and whether fans prefer a polished image or the truth, even when it's messy. Clipse hasn't directly responded to the allegations, and they may not need to at this stage. The album has been released, and the sales figures are set. What remains is the ongoing conversation, the questions being raised, and the recognition that everyone feels the pressure to remain relevant, including those who have influenced the industry. As things calm down, we find ourselves at a familiar crossroads in hip-hop, the struggle between truth and image, marketing and integrity, data and impact. DJ Akademiks, despite his controversial role, has forced us to confront a challenging question. When the charts show 113K in sales but the streets tell a different story, who should we believe? This is our current reality, where numbers can be deceptive and silence can speak volumes. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this situation, so please share your opinions in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated on this story.